We're free! Well, sort of. But for how long? Look, I really want to celebrate today's confirmation of the new Freedom Day by Boris Johnson on July the 19th. And some of the language from the PM about what's become known as his Big Bang reopening in the middle of summer was certainly positive.
We must be honest with ourselves that if we can't reopen our society in the next few weeks, when we will be helped by the arrival of summer and by the school holidays, then we must ask ourselves, when will we be able to return to normal? And to those who say we should delay again, the alternative to that is to open up in winter, when the virus will have an advantage, or not at all this year.
So let's start with the good news. All social distancing limits will be gone 2 weeks today, barring some sort of last-minute win by paranoid scientists. That means nightclubs can reopen, music festivals can be hosted, we can attend concerts again, and the deprived hospitality industry can finally operate at full capacity. And having to sign in with those pesky QR codes everywhere we go, that's over too. The travel industry might just survive, with the government allowing fully vaccinated Brits to head to amber-list countries without the mandatory at-home quarantine period. The maddening requirement to send every kid in a bubble home from school looks set to go too. In theory, life should be as close as it has been to February 2020 since our first national lockdown. But, and this is a big but, there was reason for some caution today too. Boris said it will no longer be necessary for the government to tell people to work from home. But that's a long way from telling workers to return to the office quick smart and let our cities get back to business. While government-sanctioned vaccine passports for events have been ruled out, Boris also made it clear private businesses can immediately set them up using the NHS app. In fact, he almost seemed to be encouraging that. So the reality that it might be impossible to attend a concert or a Premier League match or even go to your favourite nightclub without showing your health papers to organisers has come ever closer today. Then we need to talk about masks. Officially, they are axed by the government. But in all the discussion, it's clear their spectre will loom large over public life for some time. Chris Whitty said masks are to protect other people and outlined 3 circumstances where he would continue to wear a mask.
The first is in any situation which was indoors and crowded or indoors with close proximity to other people. And that is because masks help protect other people. This is a thing we do to protect other people, as it's by far its principal aim. The second situation I do it is if I was required to, by any competent authority, I would have no hesitation about doing that, and I would consider that was a reasonable and sensible thing if they had good reasons to do that. And the third reason is if someone else was uncomfortable if I did not wear a mask, as a point of common courtesy, of course I would wear a mask.
I'm sorry, I just don't get it. If you were double vaccinated or bursting with natural COVID antibodies or have recently tested negative, then you don't need to protect anyone from anything. It's that sort of language that will keep our nation muzzled and terrified. But the once bombastic Prime Minister was hardly encouraging a bonfire of masks either, saying he wanted to move away from universal government diktat to relying on people's personal responsibility.
Clearly there's a big difference between travelling on a crowded tube train and sitting late at night in a virtually empty carriage on the main railway line. So what we want to do is for people to exercise their personal responsibility, but to remember the value of face coverings, both in protecting themselves and others.
Sturgeon's Scottish Government has already decided masks will stay part of life there after Scotland's late Freedom Day on August the 9th. And predictably, Keir Starmer immediately demanded masks stay in England too.
Lifting all protections in one go when the infection rate is going up is reckless. A balanced approach, a proper plan, would say keep key protections. One of them would be masks in enclosed places and on public transport. That's a common sense position.
But the biggest concern of all for me today was that this apparently irreversible return of our freedoms, the so-called end of the roadmap, could end up being simply a summer reprieve. Boris made clear that he reserves the right to reintroduce measures over the winter.
We will continue to monitor the data and retain contingency measures to help manage the virus during higher risk periods such as the winter. But we will place an emphasis on strengthened guidance and do everything possible to avoid reimposing restrictions with all the costs that they bring.
Let me be very clear about this. It's serious. The only way society can return to full normality is if we maintain confidence that normality is not fleeting. Normality and freedom must be permanent. So, while I cautiously welcome the delayed Freedom Day, I don't believe the fight for our liberties is over, not even close.